Welkom mensen bij AGORA aflevering nummer 7, na de zomer, editie 2. Vandaag weer een bijzondere gast, Jacob James van Rwanda. We gaan het gesprek in het Engels doen, maar ik begin eerst in het Nederlands met een gedicht van Remco Kampert, zoals Wim T. Schippers altijd zegt. Ik weet niet waar ik op jaag. Ik jaag, ben in beweging, loop van het kastje naar het uur en weer terug. Mijn benen raken vermoeid en ik moet een schoon overhemd aan. Maar als niemand mijn bril stuk slaat, kan ik nog jaren mee. Als je honger hebt en niets te eten en niemand wil je meer lenen of poffen, wat doe je dan? Niets. Ik zit bij de kachel die uit is en ledig mijn hoofd van alle gedachten en wacht. Waarop? Op de nacht of op de dag. Ik heb dit gedicht genomen, dames en heren, omdat mijn gast van vandaag is een politieke vluchteling uit Rwanda. En als politiek vluchteling mag je niet zoveel doen in Nederland. En hij zit dus gewoon hele dagen te wachten. En ik ga hem vragen, en daar gaan we het over hebben, of hij nou op de dag of op de nacht zit te wachten. Jacob James, very welcome in my talk show. I'm very glad you're here. We met a few days ago because you came to me and you said you talked about your plans, etc. And then I asked you almost immediately if you would be the guest in my talk show, which is today about politics, I think, about democracy, the situation in Africa, and your situation here in Holland, and what your plans are for the future. But first question, can you tell a little bit about yourself? When did you came to Amsterdam, for instance?
Yeah, thank you very much. It is just about now 1 year.
1 year.
Mm-hmm. I'm in Holland here now.
Yeah. What do you think is the worst thing of Holland? What's the most terrible thing of Holland?
There is nothing which is the worst. Everything is normal, but maybe the problem is that for us who come from, especially from Africa, because you know Africa is characterized by tropical climate, we always find the problem of weather. But for example, winter, which I experienced some time back, and also when the summer came, it was almost worse. But
well, was it the first time you came to Europe last year when you came to Holland?
Yeah, exactly.
And was also the first time you experienced winter?
Absolutely.
And that you saw, or did you feel snow? Did you have it in your hands? Or?
Yeah, but this time I was informed that it was not worse. So I just got I just some small ice, which is normal, like a hailstorm of Africa. But the rest is it was just normal.
Yeah. Okay, so you came from Rwanda, and you're a political refugee.
Yeah.
So what was the reason that you left? Why? When was the decision taken?
Yeah, it's a good question. Absolutely, because of political situation in Africa in general, and in particular in Rwanda. So that's why I'm here, and it is recent, and some time back, it has been the general case, especially to people from Africa. They have been finding such a problem. Yeah, you know, politics or lack of democracy in Africa try to affect other aspects of life.
Yes.
Economically, socially. So that's why you find that I am here, and also other friends of mine.
Yes, but do you want to, because if you say that democracy is so important for social life and economical life, and there's a lack of democracy in Africa and also in Rwanda, but do you think that you can contribute here more to establish democracy in Africa than in Africa itself?
Well, it's not easy because this is almost a foreign land. But at least contributing to democracy in Rwanda in particular and in Africa in general, maybe when you are in such a country like Holland, which is a bit democratic and which has experienced democratic affiliation for some time back, so you'll find that maybe here you can use it as maybe a base.
Yeah.
Such that in future.
But then it is as learning that you want to learn from the European democracy.
Exactly. There you are. So maybe as I continue to try to meet different people, like especially like you.
Yeah.
I've also met other
Politicians,
other political parties in Holland here. For example, in those of GroenLinks.
Yeah.
So it is just a matter of experience now I'm trying to acquire. Then I think probably in the future it can affect the political situation in Rwanda in particular, and also in Africa.
We will come back. We will come back to that later, because I want to ask you if you want to go back at a certain moment, of course, to Africa to build up the democracy, or to help build up democracy. But first, when you left Rwanda, we had the very bad situation in Rwanda between the Hutus and the Tutsis, and you said you didn't belong to one of them because your mother was a Hutu and your father was a Tutsi, or the other way around.
Yeah.
It was like that. So you don't feel a Hutu, you don't feel a Tutsi
at all. Not at all.
No. Yeah. But you left the country in a way in a bad situation. How's the situation right now? There is a new leader? What I understood a few years ago.
Absolutely. Not a few years, just some month ago.
Some month ago.
Yeah.
What kind of leader is that? Is that a dictator? Or is it a military leader?
Well, in actual sense, he's a military leader because he came to power by use of gun. So obviously, he's a military leader. Absolutely.
And if you look, for example, at the country that is neighboring Rwanda, Uganda.
Yes.
I myself am quite positive about Museveni,
yes.
the leader there. But when we talked about it, you said, well, I'm not so enthusiastic about it because that's not a democracy. He's a kind of dictator. Is that still your opinion?
Well, I didn't say that he's just a dictator leader, but I said that I don't agree with him according to his ideologies. So I don't agree with him, for sure. I don't say he's a dictator because, first of all, I'm not a Ugandan. That's why I wouldn't feel to talk much about Museveni. But I feel because he's not a dictator as such on my side. But we just differ in terms of ideologies. Yeah.
But what do you think is there a democratic solution for Africa in general?
Democratic solution for Africa is first of all, I would think that Africa to be democratic is that we should try to appeal more to foreign countries, especially the Western countries, which have at least who have experienced democracy for quite a long time, and maybe to have a solution of democracy or democratic rule in Africa, we should try to emphasize more on economic issue, because economy actually is one of the factors which is affecting political and the democratic role in Africa in general, because it is really insensible one to say that a country is democratic when people are suffering in the other way economically. So I would think that if economic section is stabilized, then Africa can be a democratic continent. At the same time, how? I would think that this can be reached by the help of Western countries.
By the?
Western countries, for example, these developed countries economically, socially, democratically. If, for example, they try to guide Africa economically, for example, giving aid, for giving technological aspect, try to train Africans in terms of security, security technology, and so on, then I hope that Africa can in the future can be okay in terms of democracy.
But now the philosophy is in for Western help or for Africa is that it has to be good governance. So there has to be kind of a democratic government, and then some help will be given, because the other way around, as I hear you say now a little bit, is that you help the dictators to establish their powers in the countries by giving them money, and then you don't know. I mean, we know all the stories that we gave development money, and it went into the military service. You know, that it was bought, that tanks were bought of it, and with all that money. So, what do you wouldn't it be better to what do you think of the new philosophy of the last years of the Western countries, that they say first good governance and then we give money? What do you think of that?
Well, this is a crucial point. It's an important point. What I do think, first and foremost, mostly African leaders should always be synchronized.
Synchronized?
Yes.
What do you mean with that?
In terms of, for example, if a leader is going to be, a certain country is going to be given some aid, financial aid, by maybe World Bank, by IMF, or by Western countries individually. I think, I hope that these countries and their leaders should be synchronized according to the way of handling the situation in that country, economically, socially, and politically.
So the development should be on all three levels on the same time. That's what you mean with synchronized.
Yeah.
Look at economic criteria, social criteria, and democratic criteria.
Obviously.
Okay. Yeah. So not first, not only asking good governance, it should be socially as well. There should be a basis for it.
Yeah, because one affected the other.
Yeah. But are you hopeful about that it will work? Is there? Do you have an example in Africa of?
Yeah, I think before we go to Africa, I think it can work if really European countries or developed countries are serious and they really have sympathy towards Africa. It can be possible. For example, a good example I can give you that of recent there have been some crisis in the Balkans. That is, like, for example, Yugoslavia. You can see the question of Kosovo. You can see the question of Montenegro, question of Albania, etc. So, but you can see when Europeans, especially these developed countries, when it came in to save the situation, at least there is some ameliorations in all aspects of life. So I hope that also if Europeans or the Western countries try to come to Africa in that way, try to stop, especially where there is some serious wars, for example, AGORA.
You think it's okay, like we did, like the NATO did in the Balkan crisis, to fly in with F-16 starfighters and bomb things? That the NATO should also, or the United Nations should also go to Africa and to stop.
Yeah, I think for me,
wars?
I support that.
Yeah,
because it can maybe be dangerous within a short time of period, but maybe some time to come for a long time, then people can be saved. Because, for example, I can give you a good example, like Angola. Angola has been at war. Unit against the government for almost 30 years now. But everybody is quiet. UN is quiet because of I don't know what exactly what is going wrong. They are just watching from the distance. You can see example of Sudan. Things are worsening day and night. A good example, Uganda. Uganda tends to be a bit democratic, but they have been at war for almost 15 years ago, since Museveni came into power.
But wouldn't that be very imperialistic? Wouldn't it be very imperialistic to that the Western countries, which have a big say in the United Nations as well, would decide to go to Africa to restore, to be a policeman in such a big continent?
Yes,
and a proud continent as well.
Yes, for me, I think that that is not imperialism, but I think for Africa, almost African countries are members of UN. And always NATO goes to Balkans, or has gone to Balkans, or in other countries, under the mandate of United Nations. So if United Nations, UN goes there with the help of NATO, with combined force, maybe I don't feel that is imperialism, but they are trying to save life of people's lives. They are trying to save economy of the
parties
continent.
Apart.
Extra. So I think that is not imperialism. Because it is important for Africans, because we are part and parcel of United Nations.
There's in that sense, Rwanda played an important role, because everybody looked at what happened at Rwanda, and everybody said afterwards that they felt completely powerless and that they hadn't done anything. And after that, there's a whole discussion came to interfere in an earlier stage. Do you think that it would have helped a lot if the United Nations or even the NATO or America, whatever, had interfered in the conflict in Rwanda at an early stage?
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a good example is Kosovo.
Yeah.
If Kosovo, United Nations had kept quiet,
Mm-hmm.
NATO had kept quiet,
Mm-hmm.
do you think what would be now the situation?
Mm-hmm.
But
Milosevic still would be in power
my
in
friend,
Kosovo.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
And needed to make matter worse is that when things were going on, when things were worsening in Rwanda,
Mm-hmm.
United Nations was watching, America was watching, by using a lot of technologies, for example, satellites, everything
Mm-hmm.
was being watched from the Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really, up now as to I one individual, I don't understand exactly why Rwanda problem was neglected.
Why
Why our problem was neglected up to the extent that
neglected completely.
Completely up to the extent that 1 million people were completely
killed.
forced.
Do you have an answer for that? Because it's only Africa, maybe. I mean, that sounds terrible, but that you have the feeling that people don't know enough about Africa, the decision-making people, the powers that be, don't know enough about Africa, and so they don't care about Africa?
Still, I think for on my side, I think there is sometimes a neglect.
Yeah.
We saw mostly of the time, and you find that Africa has been neglected.
Yeah. Why? What's the answer to that? Is it a kind of racism thing or not? What do you think?
Well, it is uneasy, but I think Western or developed countries' ideology towards Africa is not so close. So I think sometimes they say, maybe time will come and we try to solve it. Maybe, I think that's how I can think about it.
That's because as when Africa will be a strong economic power, or that the consumers markets will be opened more, of that people can buy more, then there is more interest to interfere.
Exactly. Hopefully. Hopefully.
Did you do a study actually? Did you do a university study in Rwanda?
Well, I'm a teacher by profession,
Mm-hmm.
and I hold a diploma in education.
Yeah.
Especially in art subjects. I used to teach geography, history, political education, and the religious education.
Because the way we talk about it now, that's why I make that little jump, is that I have the feeling that there is that Marx, the Marx philosophy, the philosophy of Marxism, has still a certain power. Maybe if you look at the situation between Africa and the rest of the world, or Africa and the developed countries, as they are called, developed countries.
Yes.
Was it strong when you were at university? I mean, when I was at university, Marx was very strong still.
Yeah.
And 70s, begin 80s. How was that for you?
I completed my studies recently, not recent, but in 90s, about 93. That's when I completed my studies. Well, according to, I just read some books about Karl Marx briefly, but according to his ideologies, especially towards the life of people worldwide, it was really fantastic. Well, it not continue up to now because of maybe being affected by other ideologies of the world, like that. But his ideology actually was really was fantastic.
Okay, that's funny that you say that, because you were also you were in Rwanda. You had a political party, and it was the Liberal Democratic Party, something like that.
Obviously, it was.
It was.
Yeah.
And of course, that's a liberal party doesn't want to be involved with Marxism, I would say.
Yeah, we have a saying in psychology that you have always to adjust according to the situation or the environment.
Yeah.
So of now, you cannot try to go and introduce Marxist ideologies to any society or any community now. It is too late.
It is over.
It is over now. That one has gone. Even the initiators, that is an example. That is Russia now. It is also going towards the capitalism and the Western ideology. So I think now that one is outdated a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't hope so.
No. Hey, you're now here in. No, maybe one more question about democracy in Africa. To come back to the point of Museveni, why I think Museveni is so interesting is that he did not copy directly the Western democratic way of how we organized it. He forbid almost political parties. And therefore, in the Western society, he was very much, how do you say that, criticized. Yeah. At the other hand, he said in an interview that I saw with him, said, well, political parties only created problems because the political parties were always ethnically divided. So in the case of Rwanda, the Hutus would have a political party and the Tutsis would have a political party, and one time the one was in power and the other time was the other one in power, and they were repressing each other. The same in Uganda. He changed that by getting this system of street representatives, and then when you're laughing, why is that? Is it true or not? Street representatives, and then on a higher level provincial level, and then on a national level, a national parliament with all kinds of representatives from a geographical point of view, and not from an ethnic point of view or a political ideology point of view. What is the weak point in that? Well,
actually, I'm still concerned. I'm still really trying to be surprised. Because I was trying to read more Museveni's ideologies when he was still fighting.
Yeah, because he was a rebel leader.
Yes, he was a rebel leader. Mm-hmm. And by then, actually, I was also a student in Uganda. Yeah. For sure. So I tried to follow. I made a follow-up about his ideologies, about his political situation, and so on. Yeah. But I can assure you that when Museveni was coming to power, he talked about pluralism.
Yeah. He talked about pluralism.
So much. And when he was also in the bush, that was to say that when he was trying to fight the dictatorial government of President Obote, he emphasized so much on pluralism. Uh-huh. But when he came to power, things were changing from worse to worse. Trying to neglect political parties, trying to neglect pluralism. Yeah. But
no free press.
No.
In a way, there was.
In the beginning, the free press was actually a problem, but at least there is some amelioration now, according to my research and according to my investigation. But why Museveni has neglected the pluralism is that he has got he's strong because of foreign influence. So whatever he creates, it is appreciated by foreign powers.
It is.
Whatever he creates, for example, he's talking about now, for example, a movement system. Yeah. Which is almost a one-party system, according to my own understanding. And so Western countries have not bothered to make a follow-up about his ideologies. So I think what he tried to decide with his cadres, I think it works.
But it works, because the killing has stopped in a way.
Yeah.
Are you still fighting some rebels in the south, I think, in Uganda? Or
no, they are in, I think at the moment they're in western Uganda.
In the western Uganda.
And in northern part of Uganda.
In the northern part.
Yeah, and I think there have been some allegations have been made about fundamentalism of Sudan, that it is Sudan which harbors the rebels which come and attack Uganda, something of the sort. Anyway, I think that's what I always try to read in the newspaper. Museveni has also been telling people and the international media that
what is your main source of information? Where do you get your information from while being here in Amsterdam? How detailed can you get information?
Yeah, but I'm a current man, politically, socially, and economically. So I try to make a follow-up. So even now I'm trying to not a follow-up of only Africa but also Europe. Yeah. And for sure, I always try to.
Can you get in Amsterdam? Can you get a Rwanda newspaper, for example? Is there other newspapers about from Rwanda that you can buy here, or do you have to go to Paris then, or to Brussels, where a lot of Rwandese people are?
Not at all. I can't not go to Brussels. I can't go to France because I have no permission from the from the government.
You're not even allowed to go to Brussels.
Not at all. Not at all. Because there are some restrictions
Being a political refugee. I said it.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you about the poem, but the poem is about. I explain that in Dutch, but there's that. The poem is about a man who's waiting. He doesn't know where he's waiting for. He's waiting for the day. He's waiting for the night.
Yes.
That's what the poem is about. And then I said, well, we're going to find out if you were waiting for the day or waiting for the night. But your movement, your freedom to move is very limited.
Exactly.
You can't go to your friends in Brussels then.
No, I cannot go there.
That's terrible.
It is illegal.
So. Okay, but is it possible for you to buy papers and so on, and to or go on the internet and to find some information on the internet?
So there are so many ways of getting the information about Rwanda, Europe, or whatever. Especially Rwanda, we always get some magazines, just always dispatched by our friends from Rwanda.
Yeah.
If they're not dispatched to me, but also they are always dispatched to other friends of mine.
Yeah.
So I always get source of information from newspapers, magazines. Other source of information is the internet. Also, I always am so inquisitive with watching CNN, BBC.
Okay. Do you think they pay enough attention to Africa? Do they? I mean, it's the second biggest continent in the world.
Yeah.
But sometimes you think it's only about America and now, of course, the Middle East and everything that's going on there. But do you think there's enough information about Africa in the Western media?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. It is just limited.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't even.
Only when there are problems.
I think when it is it's a critical problem, and it is always just a short time of period, and really, it is really limited.
Okay. Yeah. Now we have to talk. We have another 5 minutes. I want to talk with you about your plans here. I mean, your freedom is limited. You can't go abroad. You have to wait still to get permission to hear if you get permission to stay here. What is the thing you want to do? You talked to me. You came to me to talk about a foundation you wanted to establish. Can you say something about that?
Well, my plan is here in Amsterdam. Well, I'm still running more. At the moment, I talked about establishing an association. And also a foundation. Actually, an association is already established and already registered by Chamber of Commerce here.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least I appreciate it for that, because though I am not here officially by the government has not allowed me to stay here officially for some time. Yeah. But at least there are some ways or some clauses where allow my freedom to establish such an association, and it is already established, not alone with my fellow Rwandese. It is also going on well.
How is it called? How is that foundation called?
That is an association.
Association.
That association is called the Rwandese Dutch Social Development and Cultural Association.
Say that again. That's the Dutch Rwandese Association for Development.
Okay. Once again, it is the Rwandese Dutch Social Development.
Social Development
and Cultural Association.
What is that? Cultural? Cultural Association.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, there is also another possibility, and which is in pipeline, to establish also a foundation. Yeah. Because we try to enlighten more about the situation in Rwanda.
Yes.
Not in Rwanda only, but also Africa in general. And also try to integrate Western social cultural affiliation such that we can try to integrate with those of Africa.
And more integrative. Yeah. Because in 5 year times, will Jacob and James be back in Rwanda, or will you still be here? What are your dreams? What would you like? What would you like to happen with you personal?
Well, I wouldn't feel bad to go back to Africa or to Rwanda. But the cause of my coming here, if it's not yet solved, then it will be hard for me to go back.
But your dream is to go back one day.
Yeah, of course.
With a lot of cultural luggage about how things work here and how to integrate that in the African system. Is that what your dream is about?
Yeah, I think that wouldn't be bad if it is possible. Not only culture, but also other social and the other political, economic aspect of life that they can be integrated in the on the African continent.
And do you, if you are going back, is part of your dream as well that you want to be a politician?
Obviously.
Yes?
Yeah.
You would like to be a politician?
Yeah.
Because it's, and I think you will be an excellent politician, because what I really appreciate in you is that you have been, you've really been after people here to visit them and to talk with them, and also to politicians and so on. Because I try to imagine what it would be like for me if I, coming from Holland, being a political refugee, and I come to Rwanda. What on earth would I do? I really wouldn't know. And then I find it so fascinating that you have the energy that you really want to establish things. That's I think that's very admirable. That's one
I feel that really I would like to be a politician, and especially in addition to contribution of democracy in Western countries, especially Holland, for example.
Yeah.
It also attributes a lot to my vigor and my devotion towards the political democracy, because it also gives me a lot of morale, courage, because there is a lot of freedom, a lot of there is rule of law. So I would wish also, if possible, on my side, if things can be done in such a way also in Africa, and particularly in Rwanda, my motherland.
So about this last question about living in Amsterdam, do you really like Amsterdam? Did you start to like Amsterdam? What is your impression of the city?
The city is a bit congested.
Yeah.
Because of because this is in a common place. It also, we have the same problem in Rwanda, not also in the city, but also in the upcountry areas. So, but Amsterdam is not a bad city, because everybody means his business. That is all. Yeah.
And we can hear at this moment that they build a lot here in Amsterdam, because what's happening now is that they're stamping big poles in the ground here to build their houses on. The people, what do you think of the people in general?
In Amsterdam?
Amsterdam, yeah.
No, people, according to what I said some minutes ago, people mean their business, and the people are friendly. Sometimes when I go to church, you find everybody is attentive to church services.
Because you're Protestant, eh?
Protestant.
You go to a Protestant church here in Amsterdam.
Yeah. It's not a Protestant church as such, but I go to an international church. But before I used to pray in a Protestant church, and I'm still a Protestant by religion. But also what I found in this international church is that they also have almost a similar service and a similar action like that of Protestant. So I feel so happy.
And a lot of different cultures together in the church, in the international church?
Exactly.
And what do you sing then, for example? Do you sing psalms or another internationally, or?
Oh, we do a lot. We sing songs, we have seminars, we have youth seminars. Though I'm no longer, I think, a youth, but I try to participate with them because I'm in my early 30s. I try to participate in all kind of groups. Yeah. And I feel really comfortable. And also, not even that, also there is it is lively, especially on weekends here, there is a lot of discourse, there is a lot of actual enjoyment. So I think all of that, it is a...
After all, can you say, maybe it's a stupid question, but can you say that are you in a way a happy man, or is there still the most important feeling in your life is not being happy with the situation that Africa is in, that Rwanda is in, that you are in?
I'm still not happy, especially to the problem of Rwanda, especially whereby political situation has not really stabilized because of economic issues, because of social issues. People are still afraid of the crisis which occurred in the past recent. So I still have pessimism about Rwanda. It is my motherland. I would wish it has the same experience like that of Holland, because freedom of speech is important, freedom of movement, rule of law, democracy,
of organization
like this one, forming an organization like that of yours, like that of mine, and feel that nobody is trying to be a hurdle or a problem towards your development. So I think that's the biggest worry about me.
Okay.
So, but also you try to be a bit adjustable to the environment. Of the situation,
and
because it is important.
Yeah. And to try to be happy.
Yeah, because the more you try to be unhappy, you are trying to psychologically it is bad.
Yeah.
It sometimes can also affect mentally.
It takes away your energy.
Exactly. Even if physically it can affect. Yeah.
Okay, I thank you very much, and I wish you a lot of luck and strength. And I will tell in Dutch now about the Dutch Rwandese Dutch Association, and that people can, if they are interested in it, they can send an email to my organization, and I will take care that it comes at your place. Is it okay?
Yeah, that's good. And not even that of sending on emails, but sometimes if there is a possibility, such an organization to also be dispatched to Africa, such that people can also experience it, because one way or another it can affect democratical and the social or cultural development in Africa, and particularly
and we have to put it also in a more broader context. It's not really only about Rwanda, it's about democratic development in Africa. Yeah,
because if Rwanda is democratically stable, then and Uganda is not all Zaire or Burundi, then it will affect Rwanda. So I think it's supposed to be disseminated to the whole of Africa. That's what I would think, really.
Okay. Yeah. Well, then I will thank everybody. I will thank you, and I will say in Dutch the address. Dames en heren, als u het goed begrepen heeft, contact op wil nemen met James over ontwikkelingen in Afrika op democratisch gebied, en u wilt daarvan op de hoogte blijven, of wat dan ook, maar hij is allemaal bezig. Nu, hij is er nog maar een jaar in Nederland om een organisatie op poten te zetten, een Nederlands-Rwandese organisatie over de ontwikkeling, natuurlijk ook van de democratie in Rwanda, maar ook in bredere zin van Afrika. Dan kunt u e-mailen naar agora@kleurnet.nl, agora@kleurnet.nl, en wij zullen zorgen dat de informatie bij James terechtkomt. Ik dank u voor uw aandacht en tot de volgende keer. Dag.